Hi, puppets. Thank you. Okay, so firstly, I've got 3 children that are running, well, 2 children that are running around and a little baby who might be joining us at some point. But I also, I'm going to be reading my notes from my computer because I can't remember them all. So today we're exploring a topic that is central to our lives: health, both physical and spiritual. Our purpose is not only to address the importance of a healthy, toxic-free living, but also to explore why that is crucial from a biblical perspective. In the Bible, Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, "Or do you not know that your body is a dwelling place of the set-apart Spirit who is in you, which you have from Elohim, and you are not of your own? For you were bought with a price, therefore esteem Elohim in your body and your spirit, which are Elohim." These verses are going to serve as a foundation for our discussion today, and it is often really easy to forget that our bodies are truly not our own. From the food we consume to the activities we participate in, we sometimes neglect the physical aspects of our beings. However, according to Paul, our bodies are more than just a vessel for our souls. They are sanctuaries of the Holy Spirit, or Ruach HaKodesh, and as such, we have a responsibility to maintain and care for them. The idea of our bodies being temples of the Holy Spirit implies that Abba himself dwells within us. This realization can be both inspiring and humbling. It inspires us to strive for purity, holiness, and health because we house the Holy Spirit. At the same time, it humbles us because God reminds us of the price paid for our bodies and the sacrificial death of Jesus Christ on the cross. When we view our bodies through this lens, it becomes very clear that taking care of our physical health isn't just about looking good or living longer. It's an act of worship and a way of honoring God, showing gratitude for the life he has given us and acknowledging the Holy Spirit within us. When we eat healthy and pay attention to the products we use on ourselves, around our homes, exercise regularly, get sufficient sleep, and avoid harmful behaviors, eliminate toxins, and educate ourselves on a more rooted lifestyle, we are maintaining that temple that God has entrusted with us. We are showing respect for his creation and his sacrifice. And the key to understanding this biblical mandate lies not in guilt, but in love. Our loving Abba Father has granted us these beautiful, complex bodies to navigate our earthly existence with. And when we care for them, it's not out of fear, but out of love for the one who created us. Join me as we embark on a journey towards better physical health, not for the sake of longevity or vanity, but for the sake of honoring the one who lives within us. Let's all strive together and support one another as we make our bodies a temple of the temple of our Holy Spirit, places of health, vitality, and worship. Our lifestyles are filled with so many things that are toxic to our bodies. We need to cleanse our bodies, and there are so many things that Abba has created to help us do that. Physically, that would be the lymphatic system, but there are also herbs and spices that assist our bodies in detoxing and supporting the lymphatic system. Detoxing needs to be a part of our lives every day now. And when we neglect this build of toxins will affect us, and it will affect our children. Just as it is essential for our souls to be washed in water of Abba's word, our bodies also need to be purified. In Genesis 1:29, it says, "And Elohim said, See, I have given you every plant that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed is for you for food." Abba created this planet with incredible plants that work in remarkable ways within the human body. Abba knew that sin would cause sickness, and in his love, he has provided helpful remedies even before the human race fell. And it is important that we ensure our body functions are being maintained and are in good health. By learning what was created for our body functions to flourish, before microwave meals, chemically cleaned water, synthetic fragrances, harsh cleaning products, heavy metal-filled deodorants, synthetic dyed fabrics, and the pharmaceutical industry, we had nutrient-rich food, locally farmed, clean, pure flowing water, plant and flower extracts, linen and cottons, and herbs and food as medicine. Abba is the ultimate healer, and he has given us a spirit of discernment that I really feel like we all need to use in every area of our lives. As Christians, we are called to honor God in all aspects of our lives, and this includes our physical health and wellness. Our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, and taking care of them is a form of worship. The Bible offers timeless wisdom on a healthy life, and there are scriptures that emphasize the importance of treating our bodies with respect and care, like we saw in 1 Corinthians, and how it reminds us that our bodies are a temple of the Holy Spirit, and through this, we should honor God with them. Living a healthy lifestyle for a Christian involves more than just physical exercise and diet. It encompasses mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, regular prayer, meditation on scriptures, and community involvement, as well as a balanced diet and physical activity. Engaging in Bible studies might be helpful and can provide deeper insights and motivation. Studying passages related to health, discipline, and stewardship for our bodies can inspire us to a more natural approach to wellness. And that could look different to everybody. I think it's really important that when we're going on this journey, you really pray that the Holy Spirit reveals to you which area you need to focus on. And there are so many areas, like scriptures in the Bible, where you are able to do those focus studies and learn from biblical truths. A focus study or on biblical dietary principles can offer valuable insight into God's view on food and its role in our lives. This is a spiritual journey into understanding how our eating habits directly affect our relationship with God. Our physical health may be an reflection of our spiritual state. By maintaining a healthy body, we can be more effective in our service, witness, and ability to carry out God's work for our lives. A biblical perspective on health is not just avoiding illness, but it's also achieving a harmonious balance that reflects the peace and wellness that Abba Father intends for each and every single one of us. Understanding health from a Christian perspective helps us see that our body is a gift from God, meant to be cared for and used in accordance to his will. The connection between Abba and health in a Christian life is really deep-rooted. Embracing a healthy lifestyle is not only about personal benefits, it means that living out our faith, by taking care of our bodies, we honor Abba Father, and we equip ourselves to better serve for his purpose. The journey towards a healthy lifestyle is a path of worship, gratitude, and a deeper connection with Abba, our Creator. Now that we've briefly explored what the topic of healthy is, let's look at how living a low-tox life really does affect our health, and how in turn, living a life aware of the impact of toxins, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals have on the way that we can honor Abba Father. So, the volume of chemicals we are exposed to continued to increase at a rapid rate. Between 1970 and 1995, the volume of synthetic chemicals produced in society tripled from almost 50 million tons to 100 million tons. And today, that is so much more. Synthetic chemicals in the environment are so prolific that our exposure begins before we even take our first breath. Shockingly, more than 287 different industrial chemicals and pollutants have been detected in the umbilical cords of newborn babies. So I'm going to say that again. 287 different industrial chemicals and pollutants have been detected in the umbilical cord blood of newborn babies. Statistics like this are absolutely alarming. And one of the most common questions I get asked is, where do I even start? How can I make these changes? And my advice is always to start with the things that are closest to you. And in most instances, besides the fabric of our clothes, underwear, and bedding, that would be what we put on our skin, use on our hair, and put on our babies. And I urge you, we're going to get onto this, but please make sure it's not products like Johnson & Johnson's. The products we're using in and around our homes, what we wash our clothes in, and the food we're eating, the water we drink, and the list just goes on and on as we get further away from our bodies. Between cosmetics, personal care products, and feminine hygiene products, women around the world on average apply 168 chemicals to their bodies every single day. Some of these chemicals are completely harmless, but others are endocrine disruptors, carcinogenics, and neurotoxins, most of which haven't even independently been reviewed for safety before hitting our shelves. And there is a growing concern that the combined chemical burden from these products may be directly related to the increased rates of reproductive issues and cancer among women. Unlike most consumables, which fall under the Food and Drug Administration, personal care products are governed by the Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act, which requires absolutely no government review of products before they go onto market. Instead, the Act puts each and every individual company in charge of ensuring their own consumer safety. So to explain that a little bit deeper, there are some big organization words. But if a customer registers a complaint about a safety product to, in America, it would be the FDA, in South Africa, it would be SHAPRA, the MRA, the ETC, they can review it, but until it's at a point, until a complaint has actually been verbalized, a manufacturer or distributor of a cosmetic company is legally not responsible for ensuring that a marketed product is safe when consumers use it according to the directions on the labels. Another protection is the Toxic Substance Control Act, which is the TCSA, allows the environmental protection agencies to investigate some consumer chemicals. However, the EPA can only step in if a chemical poses an unreasonable risk to public health or the environment. But this is a really hard line to prove. In the 30 years since the TCA has passed, the EPA has only tested 200 of the 84,000 chemicals that are on the market. It has only regulated 5. So let's talk about our first ditch and switch. So I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with the term ditch and switch. It's goes along the same lines as being a crunchy mom. So people talk about a ditch and a switch as of where you ditch a toxic chemical and you switch it with something that's more non-toxic or chemical free. So when we talk about our first ditch and switch, we're going to talk about getting it out your home. And I know that this stage can be really overwhelming. To start swapping everything it's a big thing. But if we swap out the bad for the good, I promise you it is so much easier than you think. So the first thing I want to talk about is fragrance. When you see fragrance on a personal care product label, just read it purely as hidden chemicals. There is a major loophole in most countries' regulatory laws that allows manufacturers to include nearly any ingredient, even toxic ones, in their products under the name fragrance without listing it. So I'm going to read that again. That allows manufacturers to include nearly any ingredient, even toxic ones, in their products under the name of fragrance. So you might be asking why this is a big deal. Many ingredients in fragrances are known as carcinogenics, so they link to cancer, as well as endocrine and reproductive disruptors. So that would mean decreased sperm counts, birth defects, hormone disruptions. And these fragrances may also contribute to kidney and liver damage and asthma. So now is when I say that when you're wanting to research things and synthetic fragrances, please know that Google does a really good job at hiding this information. So if you're looking to try and research this, I'm happy to send you some like hardcover book resources, but also go to places like DuckDuckGo. And then in different countries around the world, I know that there's some independent search engines that you can use. But when we talking about researching something and want to uncover the truth, Google's really not the ideal place to do that. They don't share that stuff very easily. So I have a task for you all. I'd like you, not now, at some point, to go and look in your cabinets, like your cleaning cabinets under your kitchen sink in your bathroom. How many of them have fragrance listed? So generally speaking, that would be laundry detergent, toothpaste, baby products, because who doesn't like a baby that smells of baby powder or lavender or some other, one of those big companies that produce baby products. Face wash, deodorant, hand soap, body wash, vitamins, candles, lip balms, protein powders, shampoo, conditioner, and all household cleaners and air fresheners. So there's a list. Michelle's going to share later. There's a digital download that I've made that has a list of chemicals to avoid that you can go and read on there. And then, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, really, in terms of what chemicals to avoid. But it will give you some good insights into understanding some of the chemicals that we try and avoid. So we want to replace these one by one, month by month, category by category. Now, even more than ever, consumers are seeking products that are healthy, organic, or natural, and ethically sourced. This positive shift is largely tied to the spread of knowledge. People are willing to pay a little bit more for trusted brands and high-quality ingredients. The downside is that big businesses are looking to make their cut of the profits, leading to a huge industry secret. Many of the wholesome niche companies that we trust and enjoy have been quietly bought out by huge corporations, and they may not carry the same standard that we rely on. Once small-scale independent brands are now owned and operated by parent companies like Johnson & Johnson's, Nestle, Pepsi, Clorox, and the list just goes on. Burt's Bees products are perceived to be earth-friendly and natural. Clorox, the maker of bleach and chemically packed chemicals, purchased the brand. Naked Juice was purchased by Pepsi. When you reach for a Naked Juice, you probably imagine that you're making a healthy choice, a wholesome choice. The packaging boasts generous servings of fresh fruits and vegetables. However, since its sale to Pepsi, the brand has gained negative attention, and from their labels, all natural. Green and Blacks is a brand that's known as a gourmet, ethically sourced organic chocolate, was first sold to Cadbury's and has now since changed hands to its subsidiary of Kraft. This illustrates why it is really important to recheck periodically to ensure that you are choosing the best brands for health and safety. Many people just blindly trust brands that claim to be natural and toxic-free. And one example of that I want to look at is Method. I'm not sure. So Method is a UK-based company. It was opened by two childhood friends that went to college together. So Method products don't contain any toxic ingredients like parabens. However, some of the other ingredients in its formulations have been criticized for their potential health and environmental impact. In 2020, Method faced class action lawsuits for misleading labeling. The brand eventually settled the lawsuit out of court, but didn't change the ingredients or their labels. Method excludes harmful substances such as parabens from its formulations, and this is commendable. But many of these substances that they do include are endocrine disruptors, so EDCs, and these can harm the endocrine system and cause adverse health effects like significant lung damage and physical degeneration. However, while Method excludes these harmful substances from the product, the brand has faced backlash in recent years for not explicitly stating what the potential health risks of their other ingredients and their products are. So in the guide, I go through something that's called greenwashing. And greenwashing is basically a loophole for big companies to be able to make something appear more natural and far less toxic than what it is. So often what happens is that, like this, a smaller company will be bought by a bigger company, and they will continue to label their products natural or organic or sourced from nature or naturally fragranced or something. All of those are still contain these harmful chemicals. So there's so when you actually go and you look at buying products that you're bringing into your home and that you think are toxic free, you really, really need to know what you're actually looking for. And those ingredients are listed in my guide. And I think that it's something that people need to be aware of, that they've had groups of scientists and developers sit down together going that if a product looks a certain way, so if it's got green imagery or it's got fruits and vegetables or something, people immediately associate that with being natural. So they will, if you go into a shop and you're standing at the in the cleaning aisle and you wanting to choose something that is more natural, you're immediately going to be drawn to something that looks like it's got more natural ingredients. However, because there's no regulatory system in place, they're still putting the same things in it, and it's still as toxic for you. So with that being said, here's a breakdown of some other key ingredients. So we spoke about fragrances earlier. Fragrances, also known as perfume or perfume, is an ambiguous ingredient in many cosmetics and cleaning products, including method. It is a combination of synthetic and natural substances added to consumer products like shampoo, body wash, hand wash to give them a pleasant smell. While fragrance may come across as a non-important ingredient, it's estimated that there are between 3,060 chemicals used in a fragrant compound, and that was listed by Safe Cosmetics in 2022. Some of these fragrance ingredients have been linked to respiratory issues, cancer, and other severe health problems. Like many brands, Method doesn't have to provide specifics on its fragrance ingredients, like we learned earlier. The brand only states that there is fragrance contained and at least 50% plant-based ingredients. With the remainder coming from synthetic sources. It doesn't state the synthetic substances used in the fragrance formula. It's just, it says 50%. So now with that in mind, I'd like to look at a common baby product, one that even hospitals are known to include in their baby bags. I'm just wondering if anyone, maybe Michelle, you could just allow everyone to say yes or no. If anyone has heard of the claims of Johnson & Johnson's baby powder contributing to ovarian cancer or cancer.
No, I mean, I've heard a lot of things about them and I've seen things about them, but not specifically related to ovarian cancer.
Okay.
If you guys want to unmute yourself and answer, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. So Johnson & Johnson's have already paid millions in compensation and have recently been hit with 11,000 new claims that their baby products have caused cancer. I get goosebumps. So I urge you all to not use Johnson & Johnson's products, especially on babies and children. Many large retailers have already pulled this iconic powder from their shelves, and after a sample study revealed that the powder still contained asbestos. This product has been linked to various cancer claims. Worse than failing to protect their consumers, they actively hid this for as long as possible. When the time came for them to finally be held accountable with the lawsuits, Johnson & Johnson split their company and offloaded the liabilities for the baby powder to a new sacrificial company formed in Texas. They declared bankruptcy in a business-friendly circuit court in New York City to avoid paying any damages. I would also like to draw attention to the fact that luckily there are many talc-free powders for you to choose from. So this is just one area that we're going to explore together. So I just want to give you all the different natural alternatives that are there, that are toxic-free, that are ready for you to use. But because they don't have million-dollar marketing campaigns behind them, nobody knows about them. So there are the main ingredients in powders is starch, which absorbs moisture. So here's a list of common starches and other ingredients found in talc-free powder alternatives, and you can figure out which works best for you and your family. So you could either make a combination of powders, so like a baby powder that is infused with an essential oil if you want it to smell like lavender or maybe some chamomile or something. Otherwise, you could use the individual ingredients. So an alternative to Johnson & Johnson's baby powder would be cornstarch. You probably have some cornstarch in your kitchen cupboard. So this corn-derived powder is used in many industries as a thickener and an anti-sticking agent. And it's also a really good alternative to talc powder for absorbing moisture. So the next one is arrowroot. So arrowroot's my favorite. When I make baby powder, I use arrowroot powder in a salt and pepper shaker. It comes out really nicely. Arrowroot is a starch-heavy tropical root. It's cultivated in the Caribbean. It is indigenous, and the people of St. Vincent have used the plant for food and as medicine for centuries, before it became the island's biggest export in the 1900s. Today, some of the 80% of the crop is still cultivated by small farmers on the island. Arrowroot has seen a surge in demand over the last few years as a nutrient alternative to gluten. In powders, arrowroot gives a silky texture and is very, very similar to talc, and it has an excellent ability to absorb moisture. And I just want to share, the other night, our little girl had really, really bad nappy rash. And we put her in the bath and she was screaming, and we picked her up and realized that, shame, her little bum was just raw. And we put some arrowroot on. We changed her nappy again an hour later. Within an hour, the nappy rash had completely gone. There was no store-bought chemical-laden cream or anything. It was literally just arrowroot powder. So it's definitely something, if you're going to make a ditch and switch in your home and you're looking for an alternative for powder, arrowroot is a really good one. So then we have clay. So we have bentonite clay. Bentonite clay contains beneficial trace minerals along with calcium and sodium without any additives. Its application of use in many cosmetics and part of a detox treatment makes it a great candidate to use as well. Bentonite clay can absorb impurities in oil, and it offers very strong anti-inflammatory and antibacterial benefits. Since it's not a starch, it won't encourage yeast growth either. So that is very important to keep in mind if you're dealing with a yeast infection. However, please do keep in mind that this product does contain tapioca starch. So if you're dealing with a yeast infection, don't use that. So tapioca starch is a starch that is obtained from a plant in Brazil. And it is the basis of many diets from Africa to South America. And it's a really good alternative to talc for absorbing moisture. And then we have another clay, which is kaolin clay. It's a white mineral mine clay from all over the world, from China to Europe. It is commonly used in the skincare industry for its ability to absorb oil and cleanse the pores. It's soft and fine in texture and makes it a great addition to a baby powder. So what you could do if you wanted to, I will send out a list with all these alternative powders. You could use these in a blend and make your own blend of powder. So then we have baking soda. Baking soda is used in powders to absorb odor, and it is used in many natural deodorants as an alternative to aluminum or aluminum, depends how you say it. Although effective, baking soda can be really harsh for people with sensitive skin, and it has quite a grainy texture. So if you were making a powder for an older person to put in their shoes to absorb moisture or treat a fungal foot infection or something like that, baking soda is definitely a good one to add. But I would say if you were using it for a baby or younger children, probably avoid the baking soda. So we have magnesium, which is an essential mineral for maintaining your health, your heart and musculoskeletal health. Magnesium is very effective as deodorant, but can be very harsh for those with sensitive skin. So again, don't use that on a baby. And then I would like to, so we've looked at powder. I now want to look at children's Calpol. So when we talk about ditching and switching, it's not only limited to the chemicals we're using to clean our house or the products we're using topically. It's also about what we're putting into our bodies. And I was saying to Michelle before we started that I really feel like, so I've been doing the research for the second part of this talk. I feel like I know quite a bit on this topic, and I have been completely, like, almost heartbroken at the revelation of how much we've been lied to and how much we are led to believe that modern day way of dealing with illnesses and sicknesses and fevers and everything is the right way. And that if you do something that is not of that, you're just completely going against the tide. So I understand that some parts of this is going to potentially look like I am talking rubbish, but it is something that I do think that everybody needs to pray and use discernment and go and research for themselves. So with that being said, I want to look now at children's Calpol. So if we were going to administer a children's painkiller. So if you are, and I will share, there is a natural remedies guide that I'm going to share with completely natural alternatives to treating fevers or pain or anything in children and adults. However, if you've exhausted all those avenues of using poultices, using homeopathic remedies, or using apple cider vinegar or anything, and that's not working, there is the option of plain paracetamol, which can be given in a suppository form. And that's got no synthetic dyes or anything in it, as an alternative to store-bought Calpol. Okay, so I just want to break down some of the ingredients in children's Calpol. So we have something at the beginning called polysorbate 80. Polysorbate 80 isn't only found in children's Calpol, it is found in most medicine and most medication, over-the-counter medication as well. So polysorbate 80 opens the blood-brain barrier. That means that the ingredients go straight to the brain and can cause neurological damage. So I'm not sure if anyone's heard of E numbers. So E numbers are there's a whole spectrum of E numbers, and those are what add to color. So each E number differs in how it affects the body. So specifically in Calpol, we have an E number, which is E122. So I'd like you to, if you've got a pen and paper, if you could just write that number down specifically. So that's E122. So E122 is the bit that makes it pink. It is a suspected carcinogen. It's banned in Austria, Japan, Norway, Sweden, and some parts of the United States of America. It is known to cause allergic reactions in children, and hyperactive children support groups identify E122 as a likely cause of mysterious and a sudden onset of ADHD or ADD-like hyperactivity. So basically what that means, broken down further, is that on the administration of something that contains E122, there is a potential that your child or yourself may start feeling like you have those symptoms of ADD or ADHD because of the polysorbate 80 that is crossing the blood-brain barrier. So E122 is an incredibly common E number that's found in many potato crisps, children's sweets, candies, even some cool drinks. Hello. Even some cool drinks. And then I also just want to look at E142 because E142 is green and it's found in Panado. So I know that Panado is used to also treat fevers and like colds and sickness in children. So again, E142 would not only be used in Panado, but it would also be used in what's it called? Like cream soda, foods and sweets that have a green coloring in. So it's also important to bear in mind that whilst a sweet or a cool drink might not actually be red or green, it may have those E numbers in. Sorry, Noxie, could you just be a little bit quiet, Poppet? Thank you. Oh, sorry, building a house. It's important to note that the E numbers, there could be 4 or 5 different E numbers to make up that beverage or that sweet. So it's not necessarily that if you're buying a green sweet that it doesn't have E122 in. So that's just something to be aware of. So E142 is commonly known to have allergic reactions. So this is severe skin allergies, asthma, hyperactivity, insomnia, and anemia. And I'd also like to draw attention to that many of the processed cereals and breakfast bars that are available now contain E numbers. So often what is being completely looked over is in the morning, your child has been given a bowl of cereal that contains 1 or multiple E numbers, goes to school, is unable to concentrate, goes and has lunch, opens up a nice, what you think is a healthy cereal bar, and this behavior continues. And that's often why when people approach like alternative practitioners for some advice, one of the first things that we tend to do is ask people to start an elimination diet. And it basically eliminates everything that could potentially be affecting their behavior. And more often than not, I would say 80% of the cases of people that come to seek help or guidance, the behavior in their child or themselves or their symptoms reduce dramatically when they eliminate all these processed and synthetic foods. So another one is E420. So that is a paraben preservative. It can cause stomach upsets. And it's actually not supposed to be in food that is intended specifically for babies or young children. So we have, so far, that is only 3 ingredients. And one of them is in a children's pain medication. And it's not supposed to be in food intended for babies or young children. So then we have E218, which is a suspected hormone disruptor. It may cause allergic reactions, possibly delayed allergic reactions. So by delayed, we're looking at between 14 to 21 days. Hyperactive Children's Support Group identifies E218 as the likely cause of mysterious and sudden cases of ADHD-like hyperactivity behavior. We then have, so now we're still looking at what's in children's Calpol. We then have E216, which is a suspected hormone disruptor. It may cause, again, allergic reactions that are possibly delayed. And if you're still not convinced, Calpol owns a 70% share, a 70% share in the 70 million pound pain and fever industry. So there's a significant, that is a significant amount of ownership in a company. There is in Calpol, there is one of the side effects is significant weight loss. And when they were testing Calpol, the rats that were given paracetamol in high doses, their weight dropped by 500 grams. And there are absolutely no studies on the carcinogenic potential of Calpol, and there are no studies relating to long-term use of Calpol. And in the guides, I go through that in a lot more detail that Michelle is going to share after we've had the conversation, after we finished with this talk. But now I just wanted to share with you that I know that embracing a toxic-free lifestyle can seem really hard, and that it almost feels like you kind of go through this unlearning and mourning process of when you start realizing and reading labels and looking for information and alternatives. You really do feel like there's this mourning process of everything that we've been taught. And it kind of, it's almost like an emotional shedding of where, particularly in terms of healthcare, with listening to advice from doctors, and by no means am I belittling doctors or anything. I think there's a time and a place, and I do think there's some that are, you know, your health and wellness and that of your children is really important to them. But I do think it's very important from the standpoint of being Bible-believing Christians that we really explore the alternatives that Abba Father has given us. So when we talk about alternatives, it's things that you basically, people scoff at now. It's those, you know, those kind of old wives' tales or those traditional remedies or something. But there's a reason that they've gone through the centuries. There's a reason that people still know about them. And I really believe, well, for me, that it's something that Abba Father is wanting us all to learn and to be able to teach our children and to be able to use in our houses, because there's so much power in being able to treat your family with remedies that aren't going to do this, that aren't full of E numbers, that aren't possible carcinogenics, that are going to cause potential development issues, that are going to cause sickness. And I think that it's important that if you can confidently learn those skills, so that when things happen like a fever, that the first thing you're not doing is you're not running to your cabinet to choose a bottle of Calpol, but you know that you've got in your natural remedies cabinet, you've got a suitable alternative that is effective, but it's not going to cause side effects and it's not going to cause any long-term damage. So with all of that in mind, I want to, with one of the digital resources I've created that we'll be sharing. So I talk about embracing a toxic-free lifestyle. Sorry, my puppy also wants to talk. And a toxic-free lifestyle it's not a trend. It's a transformative choice that can profoundly impact the well-being of your family, and especially your children when they're developing their endocrine systems, when they're developing emotionally and physically. In this chapter, we're going to explore the numerous health benefits of creating a toxic-free environment for your family, and how these choices can positively shape your children's lives. So one of them that we've spoken briefly about is consumerism awareness. The journey towards a toxic-free family begins with consumerism awareness. You need to carefully evaluate the products that you bring into your home, from the cleaning supplies to the personal care items, toys to clothes. Opt for products that are natural, non-toxic ingredients, natural fabrics, and fragrance-free. Consider making your cleaning solutions using simple ingredients like vinegar, baking soda, and essential oils. Now, with that being said, I just want to, for a second, say, as the gatekeepers of our homes, we have such a unique opportunity in the things that we bring in and that we expose our children to and our families to. And I think it's often something in an age where there is just so much consumerism and new, and there's better this and better that. With all of that comes the risk of, the chemicals, the toxic ingredients, everything now. Everything now is created fast, and there's even to the carpets that are fitted in houses nowadays, they are laden with chemicals. And if I could really just urge you to, whilst it might take a big shift in the way you think, to really look at what you're bringing into your home, especially toys for your children that are made out of synthetic substances and ingredients such as silicone teething rings and the fabrics that, we're allowing them to chew on and everything. They're so full of dyes and so full of chemicals that they go through all these treatment processes. And that I'd really urge you to look at doing things like looking for more traditional wooden toys that haven't been treated with chemicals, books that haven't been, the papers not been treated with toxic coatings to keep it preserved and keep it looking pretty. Like, really just use discernment in what you're bringing into your home and what you're exposing your children to, and that there are ways of, and there are products that you can get that are suitable alternatives to these mass manufactured products that are full of chemicals. So nourishing your family with wholesome organic foods is another vital part of toxic-free living. So ideally, that would be choosing locally sourced organic produce to minimize exposure to pesticides and synthetic additives, limiting processed food, dyes, sugars, and opt for a balanced rich diet in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. And this is also a really good opportunity to educate your family on the benefits of making healthy food from scratch, learning to make your own breads, your own yogurts. And even when you are in a position to grow the fruit and vegetables that you can, have some chickens, a cow if you can, make your own butter, just, really make it an educational process for you and your family. Learn to preserve, make stocks, bake breads, grow your own herbs and vegetables. So creating a toxic-free family goes beyond the physical environment. It extends to emotional well-being too. As a family, I urge you to lean into spiritual disciplines. Pray, read the Bible, and serve others. Seek Abba and time with him. It is the foundation of our lives. Lean into health practices. Stress really affects us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We need to eat right, sleep right, exercise, and engage in other healthy practices. Usually we do the opposite when we're stressed, and it exacerbates the problem. Teach your children healthy biblical coping mechanisms for stress and emotions. So eco-living spaces, and that sounds a bit woohoo, but transform your home into a haven of healthy choices by choosing eco-friendly materials and furnishing. Opt for non-toxic paints, sustainable flooring, and furniture made from natural materials, linen or cotton bedding. Introduce indoor plants to improve air quality, and consider using air purifiers to reduce pollutants. Remove any synthetic fragrances. Replace candles and air fresheners with diffuser or high-quality essential oils. Create a serene and clutter-free environment by promoting mental well-being and reducing stress. Buy wooden secondhand toys when possible. Modern toys often contain chemicals and or are made of plastics. And then we go into green cleaning habits, but I'm aware of the time. So in the guide that I'm reading from is one of the guides that Michelle's going to send. So there's quite a bit of information in there. But if anybody has any questions about anything that I spoke about, please do feel free to reach out and we can go through that. But whilst we're all on here, is there anybody who has anything they want to say or ask any questions?
No, I think
Can you
you did
hear?
a really good job. I think you did a really good job explaining everything to us. Not even going into a lot of the things that we have in our homes, but now I think we have a better understanding of at least checking labels. I just said to my husband, imagine how long shopping is going to take now. It's something we already don't want to do. Now we have to stop at each product. But
I think one of the easiest things to do in that case is like I said, is go through bit by bit, one by one. It can be really overwhelming. And I remember when I first started learning about this stuff, I took everything out the house and I was suddenly, okay, well, now I've got nothing. So you kind of, I think if you just do it category by category, and you start with the one that's calling you, that you believe that the Holy Spirit is really guiding you to eliminate and to change. And if that is your cleaning products or something, and in my guides there are recipes and alternatives. So you can go and you can buy this stuff for a fraction of the price of what it would even cost to buy the actual cleaning products and make your own at home and just have that. And then that's, so when that runs out, you make a new batch of that and you just start adding things to that, where eventually it just becomes a way of life and it's not an overwhelming kind of, going and standing in the shop for 4 hours reading every single label. Because for the most part, very, very sadly, for the most part, things that are bought in like generic kind of supermarkets, they are going to contain a lot of those ingredients. So, I mean, I'm sure there are smaller products and companies that do have more healthy alternatives, but I definitely think if you're up for the task of DIYing, I definitely think that is the better way to go.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I'm just going to share something. When I discovered like this kind of biblical truth and walking this road with Abba Father, coming from a church background, we were building a house and my husband had just broken down one of the walls. And it was a brick wall. And the bricks were all over the place, kind of scattered. And some of them had broken and some not. And I remember thinking about like talking to Abba, why am I in this position? Why have I been taught so many things, and I believed it for so long, and where do I start? How am I going to just, change the way I think about everything? How am I going to know what's the truth? And I was busy. My husband asked me to sort the bricks, the ones we can use again and the ones we need to throw away and get rid of. And Abba just came and he spoke to me in it and he said to me, it's the same way. It's the foundation of your faith, and you're just going to go and you're going to see which ones are broken pieces, and you're going to see which ones are, still in shape that you can use to continue building your foundation with. And I think it's the same way. It's just taking one by one and sorting through that, because it is very overwhelming. I think especially as a mom of young kids,
yes,
for us, I mean, shopping takes twice as long. It doesn't matter if you're checking labels or not. You have at least 3 or 4 breakdowns or meltdowns in the store. It's hard as it is, and you want to keep things, healthy in your home for them.
Yeah.
You want to teach them the principles so that it's not that this hard for them to go over to this one day.
Yeah.
Um,
No, absolutely. And I think that's definitely as moms, as grandparents, as parents, as just anybody, I think that's it, is that I always say to people, because if we know better, we can do better. And I think that's like in those times where it's just so overwhelming and there's just so much information to take in, I think it's important to do like what you're saying. And also, I think it's important to take what resonates with you and like kind of, leave the rest. And yeah, I think because it's a very, very broad topic. And there's a lot to decipher and work through. But I think when you know what you're looking for, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I think your guides will at least help us with some healthy recipes to start with.
Yes.
And at least we know there are alternatives for snacks and things like that. I think a lot of us can easily make a lollipop or things like that in our homes. But yeah, thank you so much for putting the guides together. And I'll share them right after this on the Sabbath group teachings.
Okay.
And then I don't know, you're more than welcome to share them on your groups as well.
Okay.
So anyone who wants access to them, if you're not on either of those groups, please let us know. And at the end of the second teaching, I will be giving out Kirsty's information so that if you want to contact her or chat to her about anything or arrange a consultation with her or anything like that, you will have access to that as well. Yeah, and then we're going to take a break now. So anyone who needs to go grab a coffee or have something to eat, we'll see you in about an hour again.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
I hope that was okay.